When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gain, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gain.
And our topic for this week, we're going to talk about what the heck you do when you're frustrated that it's not working, when you're manifesting is not working.
Yes, which is a topic that I see come up a lot. It's the thing. It's like, what am I doing? How do I get this? And so we're going to talk about what to do about that, which is going to be easier than you think.
Yeah. We have some good examples, too, to share with you. But first, Cass, what are you excited about?
I am excited about so much, and I think I'm going to pick to share about the pool. We went in the pool for the first time yesterday. It got warm enough, and the sun was out, and it was so much fun, and I love it. I love being in the water, and I love having it right there. And we played and we just had so much fun. And so I'm super excited that it's officially pool season.
That's awesome. I love how you said, like, this is my heaven. I'm so happy.
Oh, it is. And it's so great. I love it. What are you excited about?
I wish I could say I was excited about the pool that we put in our backyard. But it's currently green, so we're still figuring that one out.
I'm loving watching this journey, by the way. It's awesome.
Oh, it's so fun. I am excited, though, about other things that Lisa and I are doing to enjoy and be creative in quarantine. We, well, I don't know if you saw my Instagram, but today we wore matching outfits.
Oh,
they might have been Christmas pajamas, but that was kind of fun. Silly, just like makes us laugh. And not on purpose. Lisa got dressed and then I got dressed after. And it's like, I have that same outfit. I'm going to wear it. We're going to match today. And then last night we went out on as possible of a date night in quarantine that you can get. And so, it does require us both showering, which doesn't have to happen all the time when you're not leaving the house every day. So that was exciting. We went out and picked up food and we actually went and took a drive around the old place where we used to live. And it was just really cool it has not been that long, guys, as you know. And it's that sense of just, wow, that was our first place together. And we were talking the other day how it seems like we've been here so long. It's so comfortable and so right to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that happens, like when you're living in your manifestation and it's all falling into place in the perfect timing. Like Cass and I have talked about, it doesn't feel like this huge deal and it feels very right. It feels, and it doesn't feel new. It feels just like next,
Yes. I was totally thinking as I was listening to you, like before you said that part, that like we should do like a show on how it feels. Because I totally get it. I mean, we've only been in this house for, I don't know, like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
And especially like now it just got to like upgraded to fully us, which is fun. Because we've gotten a lot of things done and just had time and space to like think about how we want things to be. And so it just feels so easy. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like so many people think it's going to feel so different. Mm-hmm. And it's not. Like when you really are living it before it happens, it's almost seamless. Like you're excited, don't get me wrong, but it's a familiar excitement, I guess.
Totally.
Is a good way to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it gives you another reason to enjoy being, I've learned this through many, many dreams coming true. Like I enjoy the anticipation of it almost as much as realizing it now, because I know that's how it works. And so it feels so good to want things and to be on the path because you've with awareness been through enough times where you're like, remember when I really, really wanted that and then I got it? And then you kind of like compare those feelings. And so then you realize, hey, this part can be just as good as this part. Yeah.
Like I had to like literally put my hand over my mouth because I'm like, that's the perfect segue into what we're talking about today. Right?
Yeah.
Like this is what I wanted and I got it. And remembering that journey and that path, like just being on it, when that feels so good because you know it's coming and so you enjoy it even more. That's where the magic is. It's not in like actually getting in the house, right? Because once you're there, it's not like you or I are like looking for the next house, right? Like that's not what I mean by what's about to come out of my mouth. But like once you're there, you're starting to open to something else.
Always.
And so yeah, really, it is that time before that is as magical and sometimes even more magical.
This is where that idea of the joy of the journey comes. And, you know, sometimes when you say those words, they're so, you know, said and heard so often that you get a lot of rolled eyes. But actually, when you take the time to understand what that means and think about your own life and the journeys you've been on and the outcomes you've got from those journeys, and you think about how amazing those journeys was. I remember it always stands out to me when I was in high school and we won, I played rugby and we won this OFSA gold medal. It was like it's like winning a state thing. And winning it was great. But I remember the whole season and year and all the energy and the fun we had and all the games and all the practices and all of that went into that. And that was like so deeply satisfying. And I always remember that as one of the kind of pinnacle or highlight examples of this is like, I loved being in that journey. And yes, the result was awesome too. And it wouldn't have felt the same if I just showed up, if I didn't play all year and I just joined the team in the last game and we won that, you know, that wouldn't have meant nearly as much. And so,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it because when my brother, his football team, his senior year, they won the state championship. And football is fun and different than like softball because it goes week by week, whereas in softball, like the whole state happens in one weekend.
Yeah.
And so it was this building up, like, oh, we won one more game, right? Because you start with 16 and you go down. And I remember right after they won, like I asked him, I'm like, was it better to win or the journey to get here? Like, or all the things before this? And he was like, getting here.
Yeah.
It was the whole them coming together, them beating the same thing you're saying, right? Like beating this team that they weren't supposed to beat, like each of them sort of taking the turns to be the star in different games. So yeah.
I think of too, like I have a number of clients who are manifesting marrying the love of their lives and they're on their path. And I think of when I was where they were and how much, even after I had met Lisa and thinking about getting married and that wedding day and all of that. And it is so exciting. But when you're not tuned into it, it feels like there's a little bit of a gap there because you think it's going to be so different, but it's just an extension of your journey, like of the time getting there. And so when I think back to like when we knew we were going to get married or even when we met, I was like, that part was so everything, like so satisfying. And yes, I wanted to get married, but it wasn't the pinnacle. It was the next part, you know? And so it's so good to think about. Okay, so let's use the example that we had for this episode. So we get into it. Because a lot of people I understand the perspective of that thing out there that I want and I don't have it. So it's like until you see it, sometimes there's this tendency to say, well, it's not here yet, so it's not working and I'm frustrated. What the heck? Why isn't my guy here? Why isn't my job here? Why isn't my body here yet?
Yes. And then there's a thing that I see happen to a lot of people where they question the process or they don't trust. It's like, well, it's not working and I'm fooling myself or I heard words like delusional or I'm fooling myself, or I should
Magic
be doing
thinking.
more.
Yeah.
Yes. Like it's, I'm thinking something's going to happen and it's not happening.
Yep.
And this is, like I always, try to tap into what we're talking about and remember that point in my life. And it was so long ago. Like it's hard for me to remember, I'll be honest, like this place, because I've gotten so good. And actually where this topic started is Jenny was telling me a story about something opening up for her. And it was like, and this is typical of our conversation, but it was like excitement. And then, right. and it was, and I said, this is what people are missing. They miss the excitement, like the crumbs of excitement, because they're too busy looking for the cookie to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And so and we say like, there's a lot of things about crumbs that they're bad, but they're like when you're so excited that like, instead of thinking like, oh, you're just getting a little piece of the cookie, if you can think as it's leading you to the cookie, like someone dropped them on the way versus like, oh, I'm only getting a little bit, that right there is a shift that changes a lot of this. But it's just so normal for Jenny and I to like get excited about every little like shift, like, ooh, and then I said this instead of this. And I was like, oh yeah, that works. Just like things that if you were listening to our conversations on an outside would make zero sense and you wouldn't understand the excitement generally.
Mm-hmm. I like that so if you think about a crumb of a cookie, you can say it as in, this is only a crumb, or this is a crumb. In one perspective, you're coming from lack, and one perspective, I can hear some background. So one perspective, you're coming from abundance, like, okay, a piece of the cookie, great. It's like a step up the stairs, versus taking a step up the stairs and saying, I have so many more to go. Or this is only a crumb of the cookie. And it's how it's your mindset and your perspective in each one of those moments, in however you're judging each moment or each little experience that happens, and it is how the ultimate journey is going to be, which is how the journey is going to be, is how the result's going to feel. So get it now, get happy now, get trusting now, because your outcome is made up of your journey. That's how this works.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I want to offer two perspectives on this. Yeah. I want to remember to come back to it only being happy, but I want to reiterate what you said, right? It's the moment to moment is what your journey is, and that's what your outcome is, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's only as happy as your journey has been. And I think a lot of people get caught up in like, but I'll be happy when I have it. And that might be true. I think in a lot of ways it is true. And if you're not happy on the journey, like then it becomes a sacrifice. So another way to look at this is like, or maybe open up some other people's minds, is if you're not enjoying the journey, it's like you had to sacrifice all along, and then you get to be happy. And what that creates is the next time you want something, you have to be unhappy to get happy. So even if, and I hope this is doing what I'm intending, it's, because I can see somebody saying, well, like, I know I will be super happy when I get there. Like, it won't matter what have happened along the way. But it does, because it's setting up your story. And it's, if you have to lessen your happiness over and over again to get happy when you get there, it's, it just doesn't feel as good.
You got it. You're on it. Like, they're setting the story. They're creating the pattern for how to create happiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the next time you want to up level, it's not going to be like kind of Jenny and I were talking about, like, it's so great. And you just move into this next part. And then when you get like that manifestation, if it's a house or whatever, you're moving and you're opening to something else, you're actually not going to get to enjoy that manifestation as much, because if you decide you want something else, and which is what naturally happens when we get a manifestation. We are more open. We've up-leveled. We've done something to become different. And so then we open to more and wanting more, which is very natural. And that's the process. But when you open to that, then automatically you're going to have to start suffering again, because you can only be happy when you get that thing.
Mm-hmm. I love it when people give me this argument. Ginny, you can't tell me that $1 million is not going to give me more freedom. And I'm like, yes. And you know how quickly you'll spend that? And my answer to that is always when you're doing it that way, just like Cass said, that style, it is the outcome or the feeling you get from whatever the physical external thing is temporary. Always temporary, because you didn't deliberately create it. You just did, you took the actions to result in a physical outcome, but you did not vibrationally change. And you take your vibration with you everywhere. You take your beingness with you everywhere. So yes, we can have experiences that temporarily change, influence our state of being and overcome our beliefs enough to make us happy for an hour, a month, whatever. But you don't change, which means your life does not change. Doesn't change unless you do. And that's your opportunity every step of the way.
Yes. Because then you get there, like I'm going to use a house example. You get the house, but you don't have the friends to fill it. Or you don't have the friends that, it's not like that have the meaningful conversations in the house you want to have it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was thinking too, like when we were talking about I forget how, but a lot of clients will come and one bad day, or this example's out there, like one day will be off and they will then categorize their week as not very well, as soon as it didn't go very well. And as soon as we're talking, they're like, oh, well, actually, yeah, most of my week went really well. It was just this one thing or just this one day. And that's one of the things you want to catch. Like, what is the story I'm telling about this day, about this afternoon, about my week? And to be consistently choosing to tell that, hey, it's going well, and these are the things that are working for me. That is a part of you choosing the crumbs like that are going to get you the whole cookie. Hey, this is a crumb. Hey, this is a crumb. Versus this is a crumb. I only had a crumb today.
I only got this. Yeah. Yes. It's only this. Mm-hmm. And because then this is what happens when you do that, right? So first of all, it feels a lot better to be like a crumb, a crumb, a crumb, a crumb.
Period.
Right?
End of story. That's the only reason you need. It feels better.
Yes, exactly. And if you're looking at it as only, you're denying yourself that joy along the way that we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. Like if you're saying like, this is the only thing that brings me joy. I watch people do it. I've watched them shut down the opportunities for joy along the way, like not even engage. Like I literally can see like, oh, this is trying to come in. You created this and there's the opportunity to experience some joy, which is what you're going to experience in the future when you have the thing you want. And they shut it down. Like the blinders are on and they can't even see that feels good. And I can't even open or don't even open to allow that feel good now when it's something that's really even awesome, which I would consider more than a crumb. Mm-hmm. It's like a quarter of a cookie.
I love that we're using cookies.
Me too.
So if you're someone that has found yourself or find yourself in that place where you're like, I'm so frustrated, like, why don't I have that big thing yet? It's because part of it is because you're not willing to count the crumbs and get excited about the crumbs and let that momentum build. And one of the things is, I don't remember where this came from, but you don't get the whole answer at once. Like I use this all the time with my clients manifesting love is like, do you want him to knock on your door tomorrow and say, hi, nice to meet you. Would you like to get married? And they're like, haha, no. And I'm like, well, that's what you're waiting for. That's ultimately what you're waiting for in order to fall in love and relax and be happy. And so it doesn't all come at once. It comes in crumbs. It comes in steps and stages and little bits at a time. And so unless you're willing to acknowledge those as they come with the like letting them mean it's happening, then you can never get to the next best crumb or the next, they don't ever build up into a cookie because you keep taking a crumb and throwing it away. And so you just keep getting the first crumb all every time.
Right. And so you're not following the trail. Like when we're using this as like real crumbs, you're like, oh, that's a crumb, throw it away. Not like, ooh, that's awesome. Where's the next one? It's got to be around here. Right.
Yes.
And that's really what builds up. I mean, it's both that's literally what's happening is you're stepping closer, you're following the trail to get the thing, but it's also, that's what builds that momentum that you had mentioned a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. And it's the momentum that gets like all that energy moving because the goal, right? Not the goal, but one of the things that gets you what you want is when all of the energy is moving toward what you want and you're not moving energy toward what you don't want.
Yeah.
You're getting that snowball going.
Yeah. It reminds me of when you talk about money, Cass, and you're like, you celebrate every penny. You're like, a penny. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'll take it. I'll receive that. Oh, another penny. Oh, 5 cents. Oh, a quarter. Instead of like penny, throw it away. $5, throw it away. This isn't $1 million. I don't want this kind of idea, which is crazy. Like when you think about, okay, I'm going to draw in an extra $100, but you see a $5 bill and you're like, oh, throw it away. That's not it. Of course, like in our minds, that makes sense. Ooh, that's closer to my $100. Like we can measure it in that way. Okay, I'm going to put that and I'm going to keep building up to my $100. It's the exact same with anything. It just doesn't come in that specific form.
Right. It doesn't just come in like literally, like you have to see more of experiences than, a physical piece of money or something being deposited in your account, right? But often too, like even with money, like it'll come in a way that it might be a credit. So it's money you don't have to pay out next month, right? So it looks a little bit different. Or it's, somebody bought you something and you skipped the money altogether.
I love that. That's my favorite. Well, that didn't count. Someone just gave that to me. Or like, right? Of course I was going to get my taxes money back anyways. You can't count that. Like, guys.
Right? Oh, yeah. And that it's I can't count it. Like, it's not big enough. Like, it's not enough. Like, when you finish this episode, one of the coaching things I would say is if you're listening and you're resonating with any of this is that you make a conscious decision, like what is enough to count, right? And you commit to counting that. So in my tribe, in the Chanted Circle, like we count the pennies, right? That is enough to count, count everything. And but like you have that standard, create your own standard. Like if you're looking for love or you're looking for money, like what is the standard that counts? And even if it's like maybe quote unquote higher than what Jenny and I would suggest, just having that standard of like, even if it's right, like I don't care if you disagree and you're like, no, I'm only going to count quarters and above. Okay, cool. But like have a standard and count like every quarter then like becomes the standard so that you have a standard against that you do not allow yourself to discount the crumb. Mm-hmm. Create your own standard that you're going to hold yourself to. Like, I count this. I see it as a crumb. I see it as evidence to where I'm going, and I'm going to celebrate it with the same emphasis of what I'm going to celebrate when I get the big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's not money, one of the things I like to celebrate the most is a good feeling. And most people like that, it's extremely basic and simple. But when you laugh, every time I laugh, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like I celebrate when I laugh. I celebrate when Cassie makes me laugh when we're on the phone or Lisa's doing something silly and I'm dying. And that's like every time you celebrate these good feelings in your life, you are building massive momentum towards everything you want. But if you're like, well, she did something funny, of course I'm going to laugh. It doesn't mean I manifested it. It doesn't mean it's evidence of that I'm getting what I want. That's crazy. This is the process, is you choosing to give those attentions, to make it enough, to let that be, like Cassie said, your standard, and to continue to build on that. That's you being deliberate about where you're giving your attention, what you're focusing on.
Yes. And I will tell you, those good moods, like when you celebrate it and you're on the journey. I just had a client the other day I think she was posting evidence, and it was, I find myself in a good mood for like no reason. And
that's the best.
That's what happens, right?
Yes.
And so when you celebrate those, when you laugh because, or you celebrate like because you laugh because somebody, made you laugh, like you're building to, I just feel good for no reason.
Yeah.
Just because I am, and I can, and I do.
Yep. I forget if I shared this with you guys, but it was maybe a couple weeks ago. I was sitting outside and I was in like one of those really great moods. And I was like, oh, the birds are singing. It's so sunny out. Oh, I love how everyone's so nice in our neighborhood. Oh, you look so great. And Lisa comes over. She's like, I love it when you're in these moods. Because like when I know when I'm good and I'm deliberately like expressing and sharing, and even if it's within my own mind, that's my narrative. I was like, this is great. This is great, to add energy to like what I call milking that feeling or that place.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that all starts, going back to the beginning, with counting the crumbs and being willing to see them, because you can't get really good at milking that experience if you haven't practiced along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose you could, but you're also going to be missing part of the juiciest part. Like it's just not going to be there's not going to be as much momentum.
Yeah. And like we're here for the journey. So we don't have a lifetime filled of those high experiences, as we know, and especially if you listen to last week's episode. So it's about the journey, guys. You know this, and you intellectually know it, and how you're going to practically and experientially know it is by doing what Cassie and I are talking about today, is by acknowledging those crumbs and celebrating those crumbs in the same way you would the big thing. So ask yourself, as an awareness of where you're at, do you feel like that there is a gap, or do you feel like that thing that you want is out of your reach, or that it's not working, that you're feeling frustrated that you're not there? Well, then turn your attention to start gathering and celebrating and appreciating those crumbs, so that, and trust that will get you there, because it will get you there. And
it will get you there faster.
Yes. We kind of wanted to name this episode like how to speed up your manifesting, because that's also what happens when you do this.
Absolutely. It goes so much faster. So if you feel like it's really slowed down, this could change everything. You just start focusing on this.
Awesome. Well, have an amazing week. We will see you guys next Sunday.
Bye. Go be awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.